This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. October 10th is World Mental Health Day, and this year we're saying thank you, therapists. BetterHelp therapists have helped over 5 million people worldwide on their mental health journeys. That's millions of stories, millions of journeys, and behind every one is a therapist who showed up, listened, and helped someone take a step forward. Moments in therapy, like the right question, a safe space to cry, or a small win, can change lives. This World Mental Health Day, BetterHelp is honoring those connections and the therapists who make them possible, while showing how easy it is to get guidance from a licensed therapist online with BetterHelp. With over 30,000 therapists, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 5 million people globally. And it works with an average rating of 4.9 out of 5 for a live session based on over 1.7 million client reviews. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find the right therapist for you, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF. Got number 15 Michigan at USC, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. This game has massive playoff implications for really both programs, honestly. Wolverines right now are off to a 4-1 start to their season, with their only blemish coming to now 6th-ranked Oklahoma on the road. Michigan should be favored in every one of its remaining games after this game, besides the Ohio State game at the very end of the year. But if Michigan wins this game, wins the rest of their games, and loses to Ohio State, they'll be 10-2. They should make the college football playoff at 10-2. USC is not ranked right now, but it also has a 4-1 start to this year, like Michigan. They had a 34-32 loss and now number 17 Illinois in their last game. The Trojans do have a much harder schedule the rest of the year with games at Notre Dame and at Oregon, but a win over Michigan this week could establish USC as a legitimate playoff contender in the Big Ten.
Well, you think about USC now in a very critical juncture of their season. Michigan this week, Notre Dame next week. Boy, it doesn't get much bigger than that. Obviously, the spotlight is always on those programs, but USC and Lincoln Riley, it's prove-it time now. They had a game where they stormed all the way back against Illinois, and then their defense couldn't get a big stop, and that generally over the last couple of years has been the problem, right, is USC getting big stops in big games. And last year, same thing happened. They were ahead in this game, and they just couldn't stop the run when they had to. So similar dynamic, I think, in this USC-Michigan matchup as there was in last year's game. The difference is different quarterbacks for each team. So the situation does change a bit, and the game is at USC this time. But this is a fascinating football game. It really is. And Michigan is the ranked team in this matchup, but USC being favored there, that's kind of interesting.
It was very interesting. We actually have someone in the chat, Dalton. People are arguing in the chat, I don't know about what, but someone said stats are for losers. I think you're in the wrong show if you
Well, I mean, there's a winner and loser in every game, especially in college football. We don't have ties in college. So some stats are for losers, and some stats are for winners. It's half and half. Think about it that way.
I think the most stats-based show that you could find in college football, though, if you don't think stats matter, I don't know. Maybe we're trying to convince him that stats do matter.
We are.
Stats matter.
That's what we do.
Stats do matter.
Listen, numbers are not scary. I try to tell people all the time.
They were scary for me in high school. High school math was tough for me.
We do the math. Tough. We do the math for you, and that's what our job is, to present it in a presentable way, right?
You have the USC offense, though, Dalton, in this game that has been red hot this year. Jaden Maiava's had a great year so far, but that Michigan defense we know is always ferocious.
It is always ferocious. It's obviously very talented. They've got great edge rushers like Derek Moore and TJ Guy, but I think the matchup I'm looking at right here, Jaden Maiava versus Wink Martindale. I think the biggest moments for the USC offense in this game are going to be Jaden Maiava against a Michigan defense that blitzes quarterbacks more than any other team in the Power Four. But you look at Jaden Maiava against the blitz, 89.8 passing grade, 12 yards per attempt, adjusted completion rate of 87.5, 1 sack taken against the blitz this year. He's only taken 2 sacks total this year. So Jaden Maiava doing a better job this year, I think, than ever of standing in the pocket, staring down the barrel, and making throws even as he's being hit, and making smarter decisions with the football. I think it's been part of his maturation. The last couple of years we've seen at UNLV and even late in those few starts at USC last year, ball security under pressure is a big theme for him. He's been much better with it this year. So you have to figure out when some of these linebackers are blitzing, where they're coming from. Wink Martindale brings, especially on 3rd and long, he brings pressure from all different directions. I think in the same way that Illinois, look, they bring the 5-man rush, and Maiava was really good against the blitz in that game. Now it gets a little more confusing. So I think USC, in obvious passing situations, when they get in those handful of spots, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, I think Jaden Maiava really against Wink Martindale more than any individual player or anything on the field. I think that's going to be huge in this game, is him once again staring down the barrel, and he's done such a great job. So often, beating blitzes is about throwing right over the top of it, right? Because that's the void of where the blitzer's leaving, right? Especially if it's a zone blitz. Maiava's done a great job of that this year. Just stare right into it, throw it right over the heads of the direction they're coming in, and make a big throw. That's how he got back and took the lead in the Illinois game. I think it's a similar dynamic here. I want to see what Martindale dials up for Maiava and if he can handle that pressure.
Yeah, I have Michigan's run game against USC's run defense. Obviously, we've said it time and time again. The key to slowing down Michigan's offense is by stopping its ground game. The Wolverines run the ball on about 53% of their plays this year. That's the 11th highest rate in the Power 4. 68.8 run blocking grade is 25th in the entire country. And Justice Haynes, who transferred in from Alabama, has been phenomenal for the Wolverines this year. He's 4th among all running backs in the country with 654 rushing yards this year. Michigan is also 5th in the nation in yards per attempt at 6.6, and they're 6th in yards before contact per attempt at 3 yards before contact per attempt. USC's run defense has been relatively average this year. Right now, 68th in run defense grade, 56th in yards per attempt allowed, about 4.5. And the Trojans really struggled this past week, or the last loss, I should say, against Illinois. They had just a 60.1 run defense grade in the loss, which is more than 10 points lower than anything they've had all season. But if USC can bounce back in run defense this week against Michigan, their defense could have an advantage, because right now the Trojans are 21st in team coverage grade this year at 90.2, and Michigan is only 107th in receiving grade, and Bryce Underwood, the true freshman quarterback, is 104th in passing grade this year too. So if you force Bryce Underwood to win as a pure drop back passer in this game against that secondary, and those talented players in the secondary too, like Kamari Ramsey at safety, USC's defense could have the advantage. But the number one thing you got to do is stop this run game for Michigan.
At least slow it down better than you did last year. Let's go back to last year real quick when Michigan beat USC. Michigan ran for 300 yards in that game, and they threw for 32. They beat USC in a game where they had 32 passing yards. So, I mean, it just shows you if you're going to run for 300, if you're going to continue to rip off 6, 7, 8 yards a clip, well, just keep running it, right? And I think that could be the idea again here. Now, they're more well-equipped with Underwood to throw the football a little bit more than they did with Alex Orji last year playing in this game, but Michigan still wants to win running the ball first. You mentioned Justice Haynes. They've even gotten Bryce Underwood's legs much more involved the last few weeks than they had the first couple games. So I think Underwood's legs could be a big factor. And how about just the fun fact here? USC's highest graded run defender, true freshman Jakeem Stewart.
Oh.
Isn't he? Is he even 18 yet? Or we do?
He's supposed to be a senior in high school right now.
Right. So, I mean, he's their highest graded run defender. Now, their defensive line has been better. Stewart, Anthony Lucas has been really good as well. But I think that's the big thing. If you're USC, I think you put it right on the bulletin board. Go, hey, last year, why did we lose? We gave up 300 yards on the ground. If they give up 300 yards again, yeah, they're going to lose, especially with a little more balance than Michigan has last year. Not a whole lot because they don't have a lot of weapons. But that's going to be the big theme. Haynes, Underwood, got to give up less than 300.
Yep. So, Dalton, last week we had 3 top 15 teams lose to unranked teams in obviously Iowa State, Texas, and Penn State. We got a top 15 team this week in Michigan that is underdogs to an unranked team right now in USC. Will we get another one this week, or will Michigan win the game over USC?
I think I'm in on it. This is a tough game to pick, and it's so tough because, again, you have two just so contrasting styles, right? You have Michigan and Michigan-branded football, and they're running the ball and playing defense, and Martindale's blitzing all over the place. And then you have Lincoln Riley, West Coast football, old Pac-12 football, where we're wide open with Maiava and Mekhi Lemon. And I'll tell you, the other guys, too, I like for USC are these two tight ends. I thought they were both outstanding against Illinois. I mean, you look at Lake McCree and Walker Lyons, I think they make a lot of big catches over the middle of the field. Eli Sanders and the run game have been good too. And I just think this Michigan pass rush too was such a big factor in last year's game against Miller Moss. Remember the pick six even to Will Johnson, and then just some things. I mean, the play I'll never forget too from that game, the Kenneth Grant, Woody Marks play.
Incredible.
I mean, just unbelievable stuff. And Woody Marks doing such a great job now for the Houston Texans. But I think USC is more equipped to win this game this year than last year. And again, as long as they don't give up 300 yards on the ground again, I like it. I do think it's going to be hard fought. I think the biggest moments in this game are going to be a handful of third downs that Maiava's got to get him through, right? And I think he did it against Illinois, got him a lead late. It was ugly early in the game, but third down for Jaden Maiava against Wink Martindale is the big matchup for me. I've got USC 27-23.
I have a 27-24, but I have Michigan winning this game. I think the Wolverines will ride their run game and Justice Haynes to victory, and I think their defense will make enough stops on Lincoln Riley's offense in this game too. I can see this going either way, though. I really can, because I think Lincoln Riley's offense has looked great this year, and if the Trojans can stack the box and slow down the run game for Michigan, their defense, like I said, could have an advantage over Michigan's receiving core, and Bryce Underwood has been a little bit up and down this year as a true freshman, as you expect from a true freshman too. But it could be a great game, but I do think Michigan will ultimately come out on top on the road with a 27-24 victory.